Andre the Giant. So I wanted to kind of preface this. We don't really talk about documentaries much on this. So I'm wondering, what is your relationship to documentaries?
Yeah, but I also kind of wanted to bring that up. I mean, I like documentaries. I've watched a lot of Ken Burns back in the day.
Baseball.
Yeah, baseball, Civil War, the World War II one,
Vietnam, his most recent one.
Roosevelt one. He's got a fucking ton of them. They're
Mm.
long as hell, so they're tough to watch. The Roosevelt one,
Yeah.
but Ken Burns is awesome. But yeah, I mean, I feel like making time for documentaries is something I don't often do. Like I really had no interest in watching OJ Made in America from Ezra Edelman. I know you watched that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But like there are ones that come up that I would like to watch, like the Defiant ones.
Mm-hmm. Also very good.
One. I want to see the Jane Goodall one, Jane from last year. Even the Spielberg one from HBO from last year, I'd like to watch, but I never watched them. Mm-hmm. But I actually watched Under the Giant partly because Ringer Films produced it. I wanted to show out for that. But I found I mean, what's your relationship with documentaries? Do you watch them? You watch them a little more than I do.
Yeah, I watch documentaries a fair bit. It has to be something that really grabs my attention. And I usually don't watch the series like Ken Burns. Like if it's on PBS late at night and I have nothing else to watch, I'll tune in to see about the the Battle of Bull Run or something like that. But I'm not gonna like seek them out necessarily. But something like the Defiant ones talking about like the music industry. Right. What was it like? There was one that was on Netflix that got some attention. I think it was like the 13th something. It was about slavery.
Oh yeah, from Ava DuVernay. Yeah, 13th. Yeah.
I checked that one out last year. Yeah, I'll tune in every once in a while, but it's not something I seek out or look for. If it pops up and it's good, I'll check it out.
Right.
But yeah, so kind of this being not only I want to support the stuff that I feel like it produces good content for me. So I felt like I really wanted to watch this to support The Ringer, but also Andre the Giant is kind of like this image of like folklore in a way. So it's definitely an interesting idea. I mean, he's this huge guy. I never really watched WWE. So for me, I knew him more from The Princess Bride, which was a movie that somehow I consumed a lot growing up. I really enjoy it, but it was always interesting being like, why is this guy so big and like what's his deal? Were you a WWE person? I don't think so, right?
No, I met my mom. My mom doesn't like wrestling, so she didn't want us to watch it growing up anyway. So I never really had much exposure to it at all. But I mean, even if we were both wrestling guys, Andre died in '93. Right. WrestleMania 3 was in 87. So it's before our time, no matter what. Yeah. But I think what was great about this documentary is that I found it incredibly captivating and engrossing, despite not being a wrestling fan. It really played into the story of the man, both the folklore aspects that are just so cool to learn about, as well as like kind of the sad end he had, and just being Andre the Giant every day was fucking hard, and they also did a great job with explaining the early days of wrestling to people, that viewers that might not understand, like the whole thing with the various territories in the country, when the early days of WWF. I thought was really fascinating. And they also, they play up the Hulk Hogan rise because it intertwines with Andre. So I thought it was very well done.
Yeah, I agree. I think it does explain to you, and it keeps your interest, even if it's not something that you really care about a lot. But I think the parts that I always find interesting about documentaries, and the real reason I watch any of these, is for like the human aspect of any of this. Yeah. And like the moment that sits most with me is like Vince McMahon talking about like Andre the Giant and what he meant to him, like as he died, and like seeing Vince McMahon, this guy who is literally like a cartoon character. There's the gif of him like walking out with his arms swinging as he, walking towards the ring for the WWE, very famous like gif of him. It's almost like, all right, this guy's just like machismo dripping from his pores, and to see him like break down talking about that and seeing like the impact that someone who I again see is like this like folk figure almost in a way, Andre the Giant, like that he was a human and he had these connections, and just telling a story like that it's pretty impressive. Also shout out Shoemaker, who was just like so pivotal in this, like
boss.
Yeah, awesome. He was great. I'm excited because Bill Simmons obviously is well known as a writer, but he was behind the 30 for 30 series, which has kind of become a staple for ESPN. Although I think the quality has dropped since the initial
Right.
like rollout of that, and he seems to have an eye for like the stories that are interesting and people will kind of gravitate towards. He also has a whole website and social media platform, or not social media platform, but like product that he can push this. So it's kind of hard to necessarily say if it's that or the story itself. But I'm excited to see what else they do because I think Bill Simmons has a knack for this. So
Yeah,
looking
definitely.
forward.
And I mean, I think they picked a good director too. Jason, was it Herrier? Hey, Herrier, whatever.
Yeah,
He was a 30 for 30 alum. He directed the Fab Five, arguably the most popular 30 for 30 there ever is,
that was an
ever
awesome one.
was.
What was your
Uh,
favorite 30 for 30? Was it that one?
I did see that one. I also liked the Miami Hurricanes one. Um,
That
I
one's
haven't
awesome.
seen a whole lot of other ones all the way through. I don't tune into them now. There's too many.
As a biased Red Sox fan, I really enjoy 4 days in September
No.
or October. But the a really interesting one is Phi Slamma Jamma, just because I never really knew about them because it was before my time, and like seeing that role was or how that rise for Houston was really interesting. Um,
It was interesting listening to Jason and Bill do press for Andre and just talk about like the production of it. One
mhm.
interesting thing that I took hold of was the name of the doc. And like, yeah, we're just gonna call it Andre the Giant because that's what people are gonna call it.
Yeah,
If we call it some like pun or some colloquialism about being big, people won't know what that means, and they're just gonna call it Andre the Giant or Andre anyway. And I was like, you
yeah.
know what? That's a really good point. You don't have to overthink it, especially in the documentary department.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when you said OJ Made in America, I was like, oh yeah, I just know it as the OJ documentary,
And
But
even the Defiant ones probably could have a better name if we're being honest.
yeah,
Now the name
exactly.
obviously hurt it was such a high profile documentary, but it's something to think about. And also shout out Andre. Just I think the funniest thing in the doc is his like average alcohol consumption was like 25 beers, a few bottles of
For
wine, and a few mixed drinks. Fucking awesome.
yeah, they were like, I'd heard the stories he had consumed like 140 beers, and I was like, nah, that's not true. But then people
Ric
actually being
Flair,
like, I saw
100.
106 beers.
Yeah,
Amazing. Ric
wild.
Flair also, for somebody that was in it twice, like just electric. That dude is always going to be electric.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, he was electric in the Ric Flair drip
Oh,
video with Offset. Like he
yeah,
eats this shit up now.
he's
But
amazing.
yeah, he's got a size 24 shoe and a size 24 ring. What else you got to know?
Yeah, exactly.